Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm gonna actually do a little vlog. I'm gonna see how long I can keep this up, maybe every other day or so. Just kind of like trace my steps on maybe my latest round or like something I'm thinking about in golf, and just kind of share like, my thoughts. So I do have my notes on my phone here. I'm just gonna kind of make sure I stay on track. But what I'm gonna cover in this vlog is the practice before I get started on the front nine at Inverness in Colorado, and how the start went. And I had like a big blow up hole in there. Of course, when you do stuff like that, how do you stay in the game and, you know, keep, how do you learn a lesson of the day? So I'm going to, I guess, talk about what my lesson for the day was, I guess you could say. And, just kind of end it with how I think the round was helpful to my game. So, anyway, let's get right to it. So, when I got out there, I actually didn't plan on playing golf. I just got off work a little bit later in the evening, so there's not really much opportunity to go out there and plan on getting 18. Obviously, that's usually not going to happen on a weekday. I'm not trying to do that. But, after work, I do like to get out there instead of going to the gym because I'm kind of burnt out on the gym stuff. So I'll go out there and burn calories, if you will, either on the range, chipping, or something like that, and walk a couple of holes. And if I'm actually out there with like another member or something, I'll typically just play the 9 holes. So that's what I did. I was on the range and I saw a guy I like to play golf with out there. So we linked up and were able to go out there and play 9 holes. Anyways, like on the range itself, and actually this might be something I consider as a uh, point of practice, if you will. So one thing that's kind of difficult to practice, I think, is like really tough lies. So there's actually a part of the range if you go all the way on the right side of Inverness, if you're on the grass, where you don't get really much of an even lie. It's the ball's like fairly below your feet, especially for like a range session, right? So you go out there in a range session and the ball's like really below your feet. You got to be careful because it's real easy to, let's say, dial that crappy lie in, and then you go out there and play some pretty weird golf because the ball's not doing anything of what you got used to on the range. So, anyways, the range was full, so I had no choice but to go to that spot, and I just kind of looked at it as an opportunity to just kind of like play with that like really crappy lie and see what the ball flight would do. In my head, if I just play like a stock shot, where's that ball going to go? If I'm going to compensate, how do I control that compensation to kind of get it to go straight? And then on top of that, it was also windy. So the ball was below my feet. The wind was coming out of the, like, for me, the left side. So already it's like everything working against me for the ball to go right, fade. And anyways, so I hit some balls and I kind of like figured out how to make that weird lie kind of work. And then, I didn't hit too many. I just kind of like moved on to another spot. Like when it cleared up, just move on to another flat spot and just take my stock shot. And, it was fine. Like I didn't like do too much work on that weird lie spot to like screw up my game. Actually, I would probably, I'd like to go out there and incorporate a little bit more of that stuff in my practice because those really strange lies, like I don't have a ton of golf experience. It's good to get that in there to just really practice those things. And honestly, it kind of opened something up in my mind. Like there's a spot on that golf course on number 18 that's on the side of a hill. And those late evenings when there's absolutely no one out there, I could basically walk out to the side of that hill that's really a junky spot and just practice hitting out of the rough on like a crazy lie. I don't know, just be some good practice. So, anyways, kind of getting now we're gonna transition a little bit into how the round went. So I had a pretty good start. Obviously like hole number one, tee box number one. You're just thinking like, all right, how's this round gonna go? I actually took a bigger club than usual, hit a 3 wood. I thought it was gonna go directly straight through the fairway, and hole number one is a dog leg left. Now we're not gonna get into every single hole how it's set up, but how it is. Like hole number one can really determine how those 9 holes are going to go. So I hit a 3 wood, which is a lot of club for me off tee number one. So I played the mix. Or what do they call it? The combo. So out there, it's between the tips and one up is like blue white combo. So I usually play the blue white combo. So on hole number one, you're on the tips, if you will. And it's not that long of a hole. You just really got to just put it out there straight. And if you get a draw out of it, that's great because it's a dog leg left. So anyways, 3-wood, hit something of like a little baby draw. And yeah, it wasn't through the fairway. So we actually had a pretty good start. My approach shot was like what was it? I think I hit a 50 degree from like 120 yards and actually thinned it, and it stayed on the green. So it was fine. You know, again, like hole number one can like, in a weird way, kind of set you up for what's the mood going to be that day. And, you know, it was fine. No big deal. I was on the green. Putted for birdie, missed a birdie, walked away with par number one. So not going to hate on a par to start the round. And then hole number two, again, I'm not going to get through all the holes. There's just kind of a couple highlights, like when you start your round, and then I will get to the blow up I had on number three. So number two was kind of interesting. I took, so two with the combos, you're on the tips again. And I actually like to hit like a 3-iron off that because it's like this little shoot. So there's like, it's kind of a tight little spot on the left side, and then you can actually go OB if you go too crazy of a hook. So that hole really does call for like a straight shot or a draw if you can really commit to kind of playing the right side if you hit a draw. Anyways, so you really want to block out the left side if you can. Drawing it if you're comfortable not hitting a snap hook, you know, toward the danger is, you know, that's dicey, but you know, it's doable. So anyways, hit the 3-iron. I hit like a pull / draw, and it hit the trees on the left like that shoot. So I was probably got like 170 yards out of that 3-iron. And luckily it hit a tree quickly and bounced in the fairway. So for the layup shot, it's a par 5. For the layup shot, I was like 250 out to just be on this little kind of like an island for the layup. And I hit my 3-iron again, and I hit it absolutely perfect. So I don't know, it was kind of cool, like little tests of golf, like when you're first getting in and you have to like deal with that off of, you know, number two, like right away, to hit like a 3-iron off the deck on the fairway. And of course I hit it straight. Well, not of course. Thankfully I hit it straight. And actually, let's see, hit it straight, and then I got on the green, and it was like a, I don't know, 10 to 15 foot putt, made the putt. So it was like the weirdest birdie to get the round going. So unfortunately I did not carry those good vibes into hole number 3. Hole number 3 is a par 3. It does set up for the white, which is like one on that golf course, one up from the tips, which doesn't make a lot of difference at this golf course. The par 3 out there, the par 3s out there are quite difficult. You know, if your mental game is not on point and you don't trust your shot, those par 3s can really get to you because you have to carry the water. So guess what I did? Put it in the water. Got up to the place where, you know, obviously last carried some grass, dropped it, went in the water again. Anyways, long story short, got an 8 on that par 3. And, you know, in a weird way, when that kind of stuff happens, you just kind of feel like, okay, the round's over in a sense of, am I going to improve my handicap? So for me, especially like, you know, you're getting off work. I'm not trying to go out there and like, you know, shoot lights out, because for me, I always just tell myself golf is relative to the amount of practice I put in. So I'm out there, this is a practice round anyways. There's no real reason to get super upset about something like that. So actually I got over it pretty quick. You know, shot an 8 on a par 3 on number 3 and moved on to number 4. And actually, you know, again, I'm not going to like summarize every single hole and outcome, but I played fairly solid after that and ended up shooting a 43 with literally 5 over on number 3. So I played a pretty decent round. Take a look at my notes here just to make sure I'm kind of staying on track here. So, I mean, again, I guess like for yesterday's golf, those 9 holes, the couple of takeaways, well, one on the practice session, I kind of like that like weird little screwy practice area, even though it's not like meant to be set up that way to be like that weird challenging downhill lie thing. I actually might go out there, and if that spot is open, I might actually hit a couple of balls over there just to kind of like get that weirdness into my practice a tiny bit, you know. Kind of like that whole cold bore shot with the rifle, you know, or you could go out there and play something a little difficult, like let's say a weird lie off the range, or do a couple putts and then walk right up to the range and grab your driver and hit one drive and just be thinking this is number one, and see what that swing produces, right? So anyways, so yeah, a couple things I learned yesterday was maybe there's some kind of like weird spots on the range I could just take advantage of in terms of getting more comfortable with hitting some like downhill like ball below your feet. And then additionally, when it comes to your gin and your handicap, so something I learned, the guy I golfed with yesterday is like incredibly knowledgeable, awesome guy. I've only been golfing for like 6 years. So this guy's been golfing his whole life. So anyways, I absolutely respect the knowledge sharing and stuff, and it's really cool to get that. So what he was telling me is, you know, if you go out there, yesterday I had a 9.6 handicap, and that actually adjusted my handicap down to a 9.4. So I'm probably going to quote this wrong, but it's something to the effect of, if you have like, depending on your handicap, you go out there and you shoot like an 8 on a par 3, it doesn't actually screw up your handicap too much if that's something you're trying to do is lower your handicap. I actually lowered my handicap even with an 8 on number 3, even though I was like obviously way over, you know, my handicap for the day, because I only had one blow up hole. So everything else was basically normal, if not, I guess, considered better for the, you know, out of 20 rounds, the top 8. So I don't know, like, again, a couple of lessons, right? You can go out there and have one bad hole and still lower your handicap if that's what you're trying to do. And, you know, just keep it together, just stay in the game and just practice. Like, the whole thing is just practice. And the other thing that, you know, he wasn't playing as good as he normally plays. I mean, this guy's a really amazing golfer. And he was kind of having the same day as me, where it was just like fighting through it. And the moral of the story is, like, both of us were kind of sharing this idea of, I'm over 40, and I don't know how old he is, but I'm guessing he's like pushing 50 or something like that. Either way, like, there's no real reason to go out there and be upset that you're not shooting lights out, when even if you did shoot lights out, guess what? Tomorrow, no one cares. So just go out there, and even if you have a bad hole, just kind of deal with it and just find the lesson that needs to be learned for the day. And, you know, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, but go out there and have a good time. So anyways, that's all I got. I'll see you in the next video.